I know, I wrote it down.
Yeah, I named it Halloween Sky.
I love it. Love it.
All right,
Beautiful.
I think we're ready. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to this meeting, regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the City of Natchez. At this time, I would like to invite someone. I'm good at putting people on the spot, but I'm looking at Tawana Williams, who's our Director of Workforce Development, and I would like to ask Ms. Williams if she would to please come to the podium and lead us in a word of prayer, and then following that, we'll have our pledge.
Very good. Please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, dear God, for allowing us to convene this evening, Father. Father, we thank you for all of your blessings, Father. We thank you for covering this city. Dear God, we thank you for covering our mayor and our board of aldermen. We thank you for covering the beautiful city of Natchez and its residents, dear God. Father, we pray that this meeting be productive, Father, that you are yet in the midst. Father, in Jesus' precious and holy name, we pray that everything that we say brings you honor and brings you joy. In Jesus' precious and holy name, thank you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Let us now join together in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith. Here. Alderwoman Irving.
She walked out. She's here somewhere.
She's here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all are present and accounted for.
Thank you so much. We will now move on to approval of minutes, Madam Clerk.
Okay. First set of minutes that we would like to have approved is the regular meeting held on July 23rd, 2024.
What's the pleasure of the
So
board?
move.
Motion made by Alderman Davis,
Second.
seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Final set of minutes for approval tonight is the special called meeting held on August 5th, 2024.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
What was that date again?
Phil.
August the 5th.
Yeah, I did have something. It was,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
it was with the grant and, just wanted to include the dollar amount of the grant that Mr. Burks had mentioned to us that we received. So just asking to include the dollar amount in the grant.
Certainly, we
Thank
can
you.
do that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? We'll then proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. We now will move to city business, and we are so grateful to have Carl Hammond with us. Mr. Hammond is a CPA for us at Silas Simmons and also the managing partner, and has been hard at work on our audit, and we are very glad to see him. It's a little crazy when you're excited to see the auditor, but we are. And Mr. Hammond, thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm here
Good
to
evening.
deliver the, I can start?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, good deal. I'm here to deliver the audit for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023. And you'll see, it might be kind of helpful. There's a table of contents towards the front of the audit packet. First, I'm going to start with on pages 2, 3, and 4. All right, so this is our independent audit report. All of it is just very standard boilerplate regulatory rubber stamp type language. Just about every audit that we deliver has this same exact verbiage, with perhaps just the differences being the entity and the dates and maybe a few other things. But what all that does is, it kind of outlines, how we plan an audit, the standards that we have to follow when we do an audit. Our responsibilities, which is to plan the audit and audit the financial statements. The financial statements are the responsibility of the city and of the city management. So despite the financial statements being in this packet that I brought, they're still the responsibility of the city. So that is what that report outlines. And it also gives what is our audit opinion, which is our opinion on the financial statements. And if you'll look on the first page of the report, the top couple of paragraphs, those are our opinion paragraphs. And in that, it's going to say that the financial statements, as they are in here, are fairly stated in accordance with GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, as it applies to a government. And so what that means is that materially correct, it means is that, it's not practical. When you do an audit, it's not practical to look at every single transaction, every single item on a balance sheet or what have you, but you have to, look at high risk items, so that you can, efficiently say that, if there are any errors or omissions or anything like that, they're not large enough that they would influence a person's judgment about the overall financial condition or operations of the city. So essentially, that's a clean audit opinion. That means that the financial statements, as they are correct. So next, I'm going to go. I'm just going to hit the high-level financial statements. If you look on page 4, this is the statement of net position. And so what the statement of net position is, if you're familiar, accounting lingo, business lingo, this is essentially a balance sheet for the entire city. So this is going to include, all the governmental activities, that are run out of the clerk's office, out of City Hall, the business type activities there. That's going to also include, that's the waterworks, everything the only business type activity on here is the waterworks. You'll see a total line column over there for the total primary government. And you'll also see kind of over there to the side component units. So component units are, they're units that are accountable to the city, but not so that they have to be included in all of this. So the component units just kind of get put out to the side. So that's the library and the convention center, I believe. All right, so like I said, this is the balance sheet, citywide assets, total assets from 2022 to 2023 went from 119,000 to 135,000. We'll get a little bit into later on what kind of drove that. Liabilities from 922 to 933 went from 48 million to 65 million. And so what's driving those two items, the liability specifically, would be one, the bond issuances that were made during 22-23. And also there was a pretty big change in the net pension liability. That's a number that, that can sometimes change significantly from one year to the next, particularly if you're in you got a lot of inflation and fluctuation in interest rates. Those numbers can change. But they don't really impact the operations of the city. They're just on this financial statement right here. So net position from 22 to 23 went from 73 million to 77 million, and that's, like I said, that's citywide. Just as far as the operations of the statement of net position, that's not something that folks just pay real close attention to. The governmental funds, what I'm going to get to here in just a minute. Yes, ma'am.
Where's the 73 million?
73 what?
Million.
That's 72 right there in that governmental activities column.
Okay.
The 72, that's capital assets. That's capital assets citywide, net of depreciation. That's everything. That's buildings, streets, anything that the city has constructed at any time. That's what makes up that number. Yes, ma'am. Okay, all right, so that is, that's all I'm going to hit on the statement of net position. Let's see, the next one I'm going to go to is page, page 6, excuse me, page 6. All right, and so these are the governmental funds. All right, so, each, the city has the general fund. That's where most revenue, most tax revenue, most expenditures come out of. And then there are also quite a number of other funds for various reasons and purposes. And on this page right here, the governmental funds, you're going to see over on the left is the general fund. And then over to the right, there's several other funds. These are all the major funds of the city. And so there's certain qualifications that, that something has to be called, that, is determined to be a major fund. And it basically has something to do with, either the revenue or the assets or the cash that's in it at any one time. So for 9/30/23, these were the major funds for the city. And if you looked in the past, there's two additions, the two bond accounts, for the road improvements and then the convention center improvements. So those are two new major funds that were not there in the past. But anyway, so the general fund, I mean, that's that's where everything, most of the city's budget runs in out of. So on the general fund, I guess what the key measure I think is fund balance. So that is, at any time, that's the amount of cash or funds that are available in the general fund to meet current liabilities and expenses that will be coming due very soon. So for the general fund, your ending fund balance was right at $3 million, and that's a pretty big uptick from 22, which was right about 600,000. And the two primary drivers, I think, of those are one, some state grant money that came into the general fund, and also the ARPA money was subsidized some of the police and fire salaries in the general fund. So I think that's probably the primary reason that the general fund's got a bigger fund balance at the end of 9/30/23. So let's see, page 8. Okay, so this is the statement of revenues and expenditures. So if as far as accounting lingo goes, this would be essentially an income statement for the city. Governmental funds. So just like I said, this will be the general fund and all the major funds that I talked about, just the other major funds that I talked about a little while ago. So then what it shows is it's going to show total revenues, total expenditures. So total revenues, that's going to be tax revenues, and in y'all's case, garbage fee collection, ad valorem taxes, sales taxes, gaming taxes, all those regular, general revenues that you have year in, year out. That's going to be in that top section up there, revenue. So total revenues for the general fund for 23 was $19.5 million. And that was up about a little over $1 million from the previous year. So total governmental funds, including the general fund and all the other funds, total revenue was just under $27 million, 26.7. So the next section, expenditures. So these are the general, budgeted expenditures that the city budgets for and accounts for every year. Salaries for the mayor's office, the clerk's office, aldermen, public safety, police, fire, the street department, that kind of thing, and also debt service and capital outlay improvements, that kind of thing. So for 9/30/23, general fund expenses, total expenses was $16.6 million. Total government wide was a little over $29 million, and that's up just a little bit from last year. All right, so total excess revenues over expenses for the general fund was right at $2.8 million. And I talked about that a little while ago. I think that's the subsidy of the police and fire that came out of the ARPA money, and also some state grant money that is in the general fund as well. The next section down there, you'll see other financial sources and uses. So these are income and expense items that are not, maybe not something that's typical on a year in and year out basis. And you'll see over on to the right in a couple of the bond accounts where we're accounting for the bond issuances. There's about, you'll see proceeds from long-term debt. It's a little over $15 million. And all the other activity in that section is just transfers between the various funds. So net change in fund balance for the general fund, 2.5 million. Total fund balance change citywide was a little over 13.4 million. And a lot, like I said, a lot of that was the bond issuance money that is sitting in a couple of these capital projects funds. But they're designated for specific purposes. So that's all of the financial statements. Next, the section that's going to be the footnotes. I'm not going to go into a lot of comment about the notes, except that it's, all the numbers that I just talked about. There's some kind of support back there for that. The debt that's on the front, you'll see in there some detail on, how the debt's paid down, when the debt's paid down, interest rates, that kind of thing. All right, so after that, there's towards the back, there's some what we call supplementary data, and probably there's some informative schedules in there, budgetary comparison schedules for each major fund. We have to present a budgetary comparison schedule. It just shows the the original budgeted amounts versus what actually happened. Other than that, on towards the back, if you'll look, there's a couple of reports that I'm going to hit. Let's see, starting on page 76. So one thing when we do an audit of a government, one thing we have to do is we have to issue reports on internal controls. Not actually opinions or testing of internal controls, but if we just come across any issues in internal controls that we think need to be communicated to the board, we have to put them in this report. And after that is also this is our report on compliance, federal single audit compliance. That's after that. And after page, you'll get to the findings. I'm just going to hit on those real quick. Let's see, it's just one. Bank reconciliations,
What
the
page
count.
is the findings?
Ma'am,
What page?
starting on page 82.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. The bank reconciliations, the bank accounts are being reconciled. But it's evident that they're not necessarily done timely. And there are also in some instances, there unaccounted for reconciling items on the reconciliations, that we have to take time to investigate. So, if you've got, that big of a reconciling item that, that we have to look into, then it's really not, it's not really reconciled. But it's better than it has been in the past, but, and it's just, I think it's probably just a staffing thing for y'all as far as, time and that kind of thing.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman.
Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Hammond.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for getting us this audit, even
Yes, ma'am.
though we were expecting it June the 30th.
Yes, ma'am.
And last year you were delinquent. You had deficiencies
Yes, ma'am.
in your report, which were not our clerk's fault because you were delinquent in getting the report to us. You got your information in a timely manner. And these findings in the back, beginning at page 81,
Yes, ma'am.
all of these have been corrected because they were for fiscal year 2022, 23. And so things back here have been corrected. I want you to, they have been corrected by our clerk's office.
Okay, we can have a difference of opinion on what we call corrected, but, I had to make 100 journal entries, adjusting journal entries, to get these financial statements to where they are correct. I mean, if I'm having to make that many corrections and adjustments, I mean, there's no way all of that's
You're
being
having to make
addressed.
that many adjustments.
You're not finished, are you?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Hammond, if you'll please.
Yes, I will.
continue.
Okay. All right. Next, let's see, 2. This is just basically this is accounting records and financial statement preparation. Same thing. There's a lot of transactions in the accounting records, in the general ledger, with not much, with no descriptions, with lacks of descriptions. It just takes time to figure out what's going on. Third one, relating to interfund transfers, due to, due from. There was, this has been something that's been an issue for a while. Megan did have a listing of all the interfund activity, but it's not reconciled to the GL. There's not keeping up with, reconciling those transfers. It wasn't anywhere close to what was actually on the books. And then number 4, segregation of duties. That's just a small government staffing thing.
You said, repeat that again, the segregation of duties?
Yeah, segregation of duties. That's just a small. A lot of smaller governments have that. It's just a case of not having enough people or staff, to look, to separate all the various tasks of approving transactions and reconciling accounts and all that kind of thing.
And Mr. Hammond, I'll note that on 85, the clerk has provided a response that those concerns are being addressed, and we obviously have, just within this past year, elevated 2 more of our clerks to a position where they have completed the highest level of training, as has our city clerk. And so I believe we're already seeing improvements in
That's
those
good.
areas, as Alderwoman Hall mentioned earlier.
Okay, that's good.
Anyone else can speak?
Oh, certainly.
I just wanna
Alderwoman
say-
Irving?
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your truths about the finding here.
Yes.
This is not to demean anyone's character. You're not pointing fingers at anyone. This is saying that these are the improvements that we need to continue to work
Yes,
on.
ma'am. And
This
absolutely.
is a continuous process.
It is.
and
Absolutely.
we're working toward it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Mr. Hammond, do you have anything else to share?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
Okay.
Not unless y'all have any questions
Do
of
we
me.
have any other questions, comments, discussion? There's a lot to take in all at one time.
So thank you.
I have a
Yes, ma'am.
motion from Alderwoman Hall to approve the, and accept the audit. It has been seconded by Alderman Davis. We'll have discussion. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Hammond, do we have an extra copy? I've got to deliver one in the morning to MDOT. I'll be hand delivering it to MDOT. They are waiting on it. And if you'll just please provide, I'll give them my copy. And
Okay.
if you'll just please provide another copy at your convenience.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, y'all have a good evening.
You too. Thank you, Mr. Hammond. We now will move on to the department director reports. We have some very good news. By the way, I don't want to just breeze past this. I've got to make a statement. This shows tremendous progress in the city of Natchez. We are in excellent financial condition. And when you look at how our numbers have increased in all of the things we're able to do without raising taxes, and also being timely now on our audits. There was a day when the city was 3 audits behind. That is no longer the case. And I do want to thank the city clerk and her staff. They have worked so hard. to get us to where we are. And I just wanted to make that statement before we just breeze on past this comment. It needs to be made for the record. Now,
Well, another record since 2020, we have been on time. Good.
exactly.
We have.
Yes, we have. That 3 years behind goes back to 2020. And I'm so grateful
Prior to
that
20.
we
Prior to 2020, now, we got those taken care of, 3 audits in 1 year.
got that done in 2020 when our administration came
Right.
in, 3 in
Right.
1 year. That's correct. Ms. Williams, I just had to get that in. We're so grateful, and we've had meetings today going over our budget, and we just have so many great things happening in Natchez and things to be grateful for. And we're grateful for you and for the news that you're about to share with us.
Well, very good. Good evening again,
Good
Mayor and
evening.
Board of Aldermen. So I'm here tonight to ask for approval to enter into a memorandum of understanding agreement with Mississippi Coding Academies to establish a Mississippi Coding Academies in Natchez, Mississippi. The June 11th meeting at NAPAC, the mayor and the board of Aldermen approved with Bob Busak of Mississippi Coding Academies to provide $75,000 from our DRA grant to establish this coding academy. So we need approval tonight to enter into the memorandum of agreement.
So
Memorandum of
moved.
understanding.
Motion made by Alderman Davis and seconded by Alderwoman Irving. I will say this,
I'm excited.
and I want to say this too. I want to share that we are very excited about what's going on at Natchez Adams School District.
Yes.
And I know in June, we shared thoughts that this academy would be located on the campus
Right.
at there at the Steckler Building.
Second building.
Since then, the exciting news has been shared and has been approved that our school district is spending significant funds from their remaining ARPA monies to redevelop the Steckler Building into a School of the Arts. And it's going to be fantastic. We are one of the few high schools, actually elementary through high school, one of the few programs in public schools in Mississippi to have a string orchestra program. We have our band, we have our choir, we have so many other things. And they are now moving into the performing arts and drama, and also doing more to prepare individuals in this community for careers in the film industry. With that said, we had to scurry, and I'll never forget having a conversation with Zan McDonald when she was sharing all this good news with me over the phone, but regretfully saying, I'm not sure that we're going to have the appropriate location for the Coding Academy. We had to scramble. I immediately got Dr. Marcus Ward, my longtime friend and vice president at Alcorn, on the phone. Next thing you know, in June, we had a meeting with Tracy Cook, president of Alcorn. And in fact, that's where we were, and this is what we were discussing with Bob Busick present when we got the news from Senator Wicker that we had received the Force Freedom Raise grant. At that meeting, there was such enthusiasm for this Coding Academy project. After that, shortly thereafter, our team at Workforce Development, so glad to see Lakeisha Rogers here, along with Bob Busick, along with Richard Burke, who's been working so hard on this on behalf of the mayor's office, and our team from Alcorn, made it possible to have a tour of the Natchez campus. And this now agreement will make possible opening that academy at the Natchez campus of Alcorn at their School of Business building.
Yes.
And so I had to share all of that
That's good stuff.
because I wanted everyone to have the full background to know that while at first we said we would partner with the school system
Right.
because they are doing some great things that we are all proud of, we're now doing this and partnering with Alcorn. But may I say, our Natchez Adams School District continues to be a fantastic partner, contributing financially every month to this great program that we have established for workforce development here in Natchez Adams County. And they are on their own working now on a career academy that they hope to launch very soon that will allow students getting their high school diploma to simultaneously get a certification in a trade.
Mhm.
And just as Natchez Early College allows them to get an associate's degree at the same time they get their high school diploma, students who are not interested in that path will be able to graduate with a certification for a trade in hand. So great things are happening.
Yes, and might I add, I saw Chief come in,
Chief Arrington.
Arrington. I have a meeting tomorrow at Natchez Adams School District to talk about establishing a fire academy. We're trying to close those gaps in Natchez Adams County where we don't have enough firemen. So Ms. Deason brought it to me and I said, let's figure it out. And we both have a meeting with them tomorrow. So look forward to that.
That's
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Could I just-
Alderwoman Irving?
I just want to add,
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor, I'm excited about that
Mhm.
because Richland, Mississippi, they do have a fire academy. You may want to reach out to the mayor there
Okay.
because he's excited about it, helping everyone to see about their program being
I
successful.
know him. Okay, I would be happy
Well,
to.
they had
Yes,
the
ma'am.
first for the state. And so
Awesome.
please, when we found out about it about 3 years ago, we were all excited about it. So if
That's
we can
exciting.
get that here, that's great news.
Yes,
That
I'll
is
be
great
happy
news.
to do that.
Creating the youth fire academy.
Mhm.
That's what they're going to do, but they're out on calls and that kind of thing. It have to be 18 years of age, but you'll get
Yes,
all of
18
that.
years. Mhm.
You'll get all of that. But I'm
Yes,
excited
ma'am.
about it. That's great news.
Yes. Good.
That's
That
great.
is great
Well,
news.
All right.
this is
Oh,
what,
one other question.
yes, Alderwoman
We're
Irving.
providing a 75,000. Is that for the duration of the program?
It is not. It is for 1 year.
Okay.
So Mr. Busek, he only asked for 1 year. And of course, we had to have some outcomes in the grant, especially for DRA. And so we are anticipating at least 60 completers. Those, they have to graduate and they have to have certification in hand because we want them to go straight into work. Mhm.
That's great.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
we have good numbers on the completion rates of other programs around the country and here in the state. It's my understanding that this program is a new program funded in large part
Mhm.
by private sponsors from around the country.
Yes, it's a nonprofit organization.
It's a nonprofit. Mr. Bob Busick is from Natchez. He is a native of our area, and he was appointed by Governor Tate Reeves to be the director of the State Coding Academy. And we got so excited when we heard what he was doing in some other areas of the state. We were so glad when he made this available for us. This will be, help me, I think the
The
fifth.
The Fifth Academy.
The
There's
fifth
one in
academy.
Biloxi, Clarksdale, Columbus, and Jackson, Mississippi. And so this is the fifth one. So it's a big deal.
It's a big
It's a
deal.
Mhm.
Also, these individuals who can be all ages
18
from
and up.
18 to
99
yes,
is what Bob says.
are eligible.
99.
I understand there's been a great story being shared of a lady who went with her granddaughter
Mhm.
to enroll her granddaughter in the program. And her granddaughter had such reluctance that the grandmother said, well, look, I'll enroll in the program with you.
Mhm. She had social anxiety.
They both completed the program.
Yep.
And they both have now gotten really good jobs.
Yes.
And this also will allow individuals in our area to go through this training at no cost to them.
No problem.
It's a 6-month training.
Mhm.
And upon that training, the job placement rate, I don't have it in front of me.
Well, I would love to share that. Computing jobs are the #1 source of new wages in the U.S. Currently, there are 500,000 openings.
Yes.
Wow.
And this, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this particular industry is the fastest growing. I mean, we have such a deficit in this particular area. So we know that they can go straight into work. And $40,000 is at minimum what they typically start with when they graduate.
We also have shared this over the weekend. I was able to share this with the vice president at Loss Prevention Services, who specializes in HR recruitment, TJ Baggett, and shared with her that this was happening. She got very excited because they have a great need for individuals there at Loss Prevention with these skills.
Yes.
Loss Prevention has already topped out now at 300 new jobs downtown, and they indicated they have more jobs to fill All they need are the qualified applicants. So that will be a ready and willing employer for these who are willing to go into this program and complete it.
Mhm.
Also, Alcorn State University has expressed to us, and Dr. Cook and Dr. Ward especially, that they would like to dovetail this into advanced studies that are being offered at their School of Business and the brand new School of Business building that is a $30+ million facility on the campus there at Lorman. So this is a great partnership, great things to come.
Yes.
So at this time, I'll call for the question. The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
All right.
Thank
y'all.
you.
Oh, and go to code.org if you want to learn more about coding.
And when do you think we may have a ribbon cutting?
I think we may have a ribbon cutting mid-September.
Mid-September.
Let us get
Okay.
past the DRA
All right.
site visit that we have coming up. Lakeisha and I, yay.
Yeah.
James, yay.
All right.
After that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are so grateful again to those who helped us over a year ago to get that coveted DRA grant of $450,000 through the Delta Regional Authority. A Mississippi native, Dr. Corey Booker, and his staff, with the influence of our congressmen and senators, that is going a long way in helping these programs get off the ground. James Johnston, you are next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Y'all were given a draft of my report in your packet the other day. I'll try and be brief. I know. Selection of consulting engineer, environmental review design phase for the already mentioned at least once this evening 2024 RAISE grant. Staff, in concert with the mayor's office and the Mississippi Department of Transportation, is proceeding to the next phase of this transportation enhancement program, i.e. the procurement and selection of a consulting engineer to provide preliminary engineering services. The selected engineer will assist the city of Natchez in receiving environmental clearance, right-of-way acquisition, preparation of maps and deeds, and the preparation of all necessary plans and construction documents for construction, and assists with the preparation of the PS&E package, which is the plans, specifications, and estimates. In addition, staff will be requesting in writing to MDOT that these costs be included and reimbursable through our 2024 RAISE grant. The city will follow MDOT's LPA consultant operating procedures for professional services and select an engineer from MDOT's LPA master contract list. From the master contract list, staff, in concert with the mayor's office, selected 3 engineering firms from which to receive and review proposals. These 3 engineering firms selected were Benchmark Engineering and Surveying, LLC, Neil Schaefer, and Volkert. After reviewing the 3 proposals, staff, in concert with the mayor's office, selected Neil Schaefer as the preferred engineering firm. Staff, in concert with the mayor's office, request a motion to select Neil Schaefer to provide the preliminary engineering services, including environmental clearance, right-of-way, preparation of maps and deeds, and the preparation of all necessary plans and construction documents for construction, and assist with the preparation of the PS&E package.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. This is exciting. We just received this grant at the end of June, and here we now are 2 months later, already assigning and appointing the engineer. I can think of no better engineering firm to help us with this. After all, they did help us when we were writing the grant, and it was a significant application process. We are already so far ahead of the game, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, when compared to other cities. And so we will now immediately proceed with the next step in making our Forks to Freedom project a reality. Exciting news. Mr. Johnson, thank you for all of your hard work and all of those others who have worked behind the scenes. Do we have any discussion, questions?
Yes.
Alderman Frazier.
These engineer firms, they was brought up by the Department of Transportation. Who
Yep.
selected them?
MDOT conducts a RFP themselves on an annual or biannual basis to where the engineering firms on this list have to meet certain qualifications. And from that list, we selected 3 firms based on MDOT's own guidelines. And from those 3, those proposals were reviewed, and then one was selected and brought to the board for concurrence. And then we'll
They
submit
selected them or you selected them?
the mayor's office, and with input from staff.
And now we're asking the board to complete that selection process.
And then we'll send a letter to MDOT tomorrow. And then the next step will be having a kickoff meeting with MDOT in the city of Natchez.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Call
you.
the question.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of a motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
I do want to add also, we are reviewing right now with Federal Highway and MDOT our formal grant agreement. It is in the draft stages, and hopefully in the next few weeks, it'll be brought for the board as well for execution.
Thank you so much.
Angeletti House Preservation, that's our 2023 CHPG grant funded by the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. Staff in concert with consulting architect Wakecaster Dungan is requesting a motion to advertise for a general contractor so that this preservation project can move forward. Noting that approvals have been received from both Archives and History and the local Preservation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. This is exciting for us. People I know have been wondering, when are we going to start with phase 1, restoration of the exterior? Being a historic property, we've had to go through the proper steps. We have now completed that. We are ready to select the contractor. We have budgeted for this project in the new budget, about $160,000 project. We can't wait to get moving. Any discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
That's what I was gonna ask. What was the total amount of the grant?
I don't have that figure with me. I can send it to you, but I don't have it in memory.
Okay.
It
And
is,
was there a match that the city
Yes,
had
ma'am.
to?
and that is included.
Okay. So did the budget team meet again? I mean,
I have included all projects, in the FY25 budget in conversation with Ms. McKenzie.
Oh,
Okay,
but we
so
are
I'm
not
just asking.
selecting a contractor. We are right now getting approval
To advertise.
to advertise for one.
okay.
Okay.
Call the question.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Approval of change order number 2, Auburn Billiard Hall. This is also a CHPG grant from the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. Consulting architect Belinda Stewart Architects is requesting approval of change order number 2. In brief, a summary of the change orders are as follows. The 3 rafters at the pavilion needing replacement visually appear in good condition, but under the paint they are deteriorated. They are in an area where the roof shingles were missing, so the wood has continued to deteriorate since we completed the bid documents. In addition, 2 columns are in need of leveling, which will lessen the sway of the roof line. That cost us $895. The floor height of the new restrooms and surrounding concrete walk was modified for accessibility and drainage improvements, changing the clear height to the rafter tails. The new 7-foot-tall out-swinging doors do not clear the rafter tails, requiring a change to 6'8" doors from the originally specified 7-foot doors. The replacement cost totals $2685. The contract total increases from $255,910 to $259,625, an increase of $3,715, and within the funds budgeted for this project.
Do I have a motion? Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
Just for clarification, at the top of your report, you have the Auburn Billiard Hall, but then you're discussing the pavilion.
That is part of the project. It's all
Right.
at Auburn. We're doing columns. We're also doing the
I
pavilion as
just want to
well.
be sure you're not talking
We're
about
good.
pavilion inside the.
Yep.
Billiard
No, this is
Hall?
the
Okay.
pavilion.
It is at the
Yes,
first
ma'am.
playground.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any further discussion? The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And I do have
Next
one more item. 6-month general supply bids, and that would be at the request of Natchez Public Works. At the request of Natchez Public Works, staff is requesting a motion to seek general supply bids for the period October 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025.
So moved.
So move.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. We'll have discussion.
Just need to have
Yes,
that.
Alderwoman Irving.
No, just the
Okay,
date. He's
we'll
corrected it.
proceed,
I corrected it.
we'll proceed to a vote.
Call the question.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Before Mr.
Thank
Johnston
you.
leaves, and I just want
Yes, Alderwoman
to
Irving.
share with you, thank you, Mr. Johnston, for working with Mr. Eddie Burks with the vision he had for our Bringsby Garden for the Jack Wade Park in St. Catherine. I just want to thank you.
We're getting ready to hopefully have a fall garden there.
Yes, we are. Thank you so very much.
That's a great thing.
It is.
Saw the picture in the paper and enjoyed reading that article. Thank you. Ms. Legault, we now are ready to recognize you. All right. Thank you.
This is regarding signs for the historic district. We had a meeting of the Preservation Commission on July
You want
10th,
to speak in the mic?
July 10th. And they liked the general design of the sign, and they wanted more information on the actual locations that there were going to be. The sign will be actually 18 inches by 18 inches, and they had approved generally a 5-foot high sign. What we have found out when we are doing calculations and so forth is it would cost us more to get a 16-foot sign and have it cut down than it would to get 8-foot signs. So what we're going to go back to the Preservation Commission to get an 8-foot sign, in fact, increase that to maybe 5.5 feet, and then the other 6 inches further in the ground than we would need. They were also concerned about sign clutter, so they wanted to make sure that the signs were as close to like light poles and so forth. And so what Natchez Public Works has gone out and looked at the various locations. A couple of them, they misconstrued what was written, so we're going to have to go back out to those locations. There are 15 locations in town where we're proposing it, and most of these locations are where you enter the local historic district. Maybe some of you don't realize we have 2 different types of districts in Natchez. We have the local historic district, but we also have the National Register district. And the local historic district is the one that comes under the Preservation Commission for any sort of changes. The National Historic District, you would have to go to MDAH for certain things. So the locations for these signs are Homochitto at Metcalf. That's where the district ends or begins, whichever you want to say. St. Catherine, right before the triangle. Maine at Orange. Canal just past the bridge coming into town from so, and then MLK South at Orleans, MLK at Maine, MLK North at Jefferson, and MLK North at Bishop. We'd also put one at Maine and Canal, Jefferson and Canal, State and Canal, Franklin and Canal, and at Cemetery Road at Linton, but near the little theater that's up there. That's one of the ones that they got confused on. And also Cemetery Road south of Marblestone. And that's where the the National Cemetery there is where the historic district begins. So it would be somewhere near that, the furthest point of that, the National Cemetery. And then North Union and Elm.
Okay. And the purpose of this is to better distinguish our preservation district
Yes.
so that individuals concerned or confused about what permissions are needed will have a clear understanding that they're in
Right.
the district.
Some of them are not aware when they purchase homes that they're purchasing it in the historic district. And that's been some of the problems that we've had is people don't realize they need to go for exterior renovations or changes that they need to come through the commission. The second page shows you a fluted pole, which is what was on the other one. And then we kind of marked out the others, but there are 3 different types of I guess you'd say top pieces to the pole. One of those 3 we would let the commission decide on. Yes.
All right.
Mayor?
Before we can proceed, we will need a
Mr.
motion.
Mayor,
And I don't know if we can get the motion we need yet until we know the amount of the cost.
Well, we don't know yet because the cost was based on a 16-foot pole being cut twice, and we're going to cut it down. I just received them this morning.
Oh, I see.
So the cost estimate
What
from Public Works.
What I think we should do is, I mean, I will recognize you, but we may want to defer final action until we actually have the cost. Alderwoman Hall, I recognize
I
you.
was gonna make a motion that we approve the signs contingent upon the final approval of the Preservation Commission regarding dimensions and the locations. And I can add to this depending upon the cost of the
The
city.
cost.
Okay.
It was around 3,700, but now if we use the 8-foot poles rather than the 16-foot poles that they would have to cut twice, it's going to cut down
Okay.
on the cost. You
All
know,
right.
so
Let me ask you.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. It is seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion, Alderman Frazier.
Yes, so what are these poles gonna be made out? This sign's gonna be made out.
is what
What material are they gonna be made out?
metal.
Okay.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I just have a question. You said, when people purchase homes that they're not aware what district they're in, whether it's the National Historic District or the local registered district.
Mhm.
So would that be something, just asking a question, the realtor would know? I mean,
The
because.
I think some realtors do know, but sometimes they're either don't tell them or reluctant to tell them. So, and we've asked them to do that, but we can't mandate that they inform
And I'm just asking
everybody.
because it's strange that you bring that up because there are a couple of trees in the yard that had they known,
Mhm.
they're like, really can't cut the trees, but they purchased a home. And so
Well,
the
at
trees
the
falling
present,
like they are,
Yeah.
that's something that they should have been told.
at the present time, from what we've been told, you can cut trees in the historic district. There had been one that was brought through, one that was not brought through initially. But according to the state, you have to have a tree protection ordinance in place. Now, we are working to do that with the tree grant that they have, that we would put an ordinance in place that would tell you which trees are protected and which trees are not protected,
Okay.
so
you're working on that. So there are some
Yes,
trees
that's-
protected and there's some that are not.
actually, the next meeting of the Tree Preservation Commission, for that, we are going to be discussing the ordinance that would have to be in place.
Do you know the date of that next meeting?
The committee, it's just a committee meeting, and I'm not sure, it was supposed to be this month, but I think it's gonna be in September. It's usually the third
I'm not sure.
Friday, I
I'm not
think.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my reason for asking, because we have a lot of concern about trees and since you
Yeah,
brought that
we
up.
do, and I can understand that. And I worked when I was in League City, Texas, before I came here. We were actually, I wrote a preservation ordinance, a tree ordinance for the city there. So I'm pretty familiar with what goes into one. And actually, the people that are there asked me to provide the tree ordinance that I had written for them. So I did that, but.
I would like to add, our preservation ordinance, however, does include language where homeowners, property owners, they have to get prior permission for paint colors, for other
Right.
alterations, and also for major changes to landscaping.
Yes, it does
And
say
some of
that.
that can be construed when it's a particular change to include trees.
Mhm.
And so when people have a question, it's better to ask first than
Exactly.
have to apologize later.
Mr.
We
Mayor,
encourage anyone with questions to contact you. But to help on that, we have a very detailed letter that has been prepared and will soon be sent by certified mail to all of the homeowners and property owners in the historic district.
I was just gonna say the motion
Yes,
has to do
Alderwoman
with the
Hall?
signs.
Yes,
So,
it does,
With
but
the
this is
voting.
pertaining to the historic district, and it's good to get this information out there. The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, thank you, Alderman, Alderwomen, and Ms. Legault. The next item we have on the agenda is Mr. Porter, Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Aldermen.
Good evening.
I am so glad I didn't go into accounting or anything other than recreation, for that matter. I'm going to keep this simple and sweet. Staff is requesting approval to accept the estimate for the North Natchez Pavilion renovation project. Before you ask, I reached out to 4 different contractors, 2 of which said they did not have the time. That was Lee Scott and Good Hope Construction. I did get 2 bids back, one from Smith Painting for a total of $46,466, and one from Thorpe Sheet Metal for $32,477.57. Obviously, that's the low bid, and it's the better bid in my opinion. If you look at product number 1, it's going to replace all of the wood rafters with 6-inch steel purlings, as opposed to Smith Painting, who was only going to replace 12 of the 2x10 rafters. So it's a much better product in the long run. Also, it's going to have a gutter system all the way around with 8 downspouts to help mitigate water runoff.
Wonderful. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman
so
Hall.
moved that we approve Thorpe Sheet Metal for the project at the pavilion at North Natchez Park.
Seconded by Alderwoman Smith. I'm so excited about this. We thought we were going to have to wait until next year to do this. And I tell you, Mr. Porter, you moved this along. We mentioned it in the department director meeting just a month ago, and now here you have estimates for us.
Mr. Mayor,
I wish everything moved this fast. Alderwoman Irving?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
How do we do our bidding process? I mean, because,
It wasn't a bid, this was an estimate.
so this
Anything under-
estimate, so how did they know to, I mean, what do? You just call
I reached out
those?
to them via email
So there's
and
not a list
phone
of
call.
all, because these 2 are repetitiously, it seems as if we need to do what? I mean, we have people on the list that we can call other contractors, and if you're calling, because I know if it's under 75,000.
For the next project, if you could supply me with that list, we can.
Well, there
we
is
can do
one.
that.
I mean, I thought we were actually collaborating, but department with department, we turned in cards, their business cards, and it was given to all
If
of
we
them.
could continue that conversation offline.
No.
But right now,
If,
we have.
if I need
No,
to
no,
take
the
this
reason
back
I'm
to,
saying
back to
is
square one, we
because-
can do it.
This is repetitiously, we need to be doing one.
We have a great quote to do something really positive at Natchez Park. I'd rather not burden this with controversy.
It's not
Alderman
controversy.
Frazier, you're recognized.
Let me say this. I appreciate what you're doing over there. You really need it. You're doing the right thing. But this is what she's saying, and that was my next question to you, but she took it. It's repetition. The same people get the same contracts.
Yeah.
Every time we look on the docket, same old people, these 2 people. So what is she simply saying is that I thought all the bids go to your office.
I assure you, I'm not showing favoritism
No,
in
I'm not
any way,
saying
shape, or
that.
form. This is
Listen
the
to this.
first time that I've
Listen,
ever asked
no,
for any
no, I'm not
estimates
saying you're showing
whatsoever.
favoritism because you're not the owner of the department. every time we look around, these two people don't think. That's all I'm simply
There are
saying.
two others that declined.
Yeah, but,
We just
what I'm
need
saying,
to-
Mr. Mayor,
He's not
and I don't want,
soliciting.
you know what? I'm gonna have to get it with you because I don't want to bring this out because it's a whole lot I had to put in here and I don't want to put it out in the public. So thank you very much.
Get with me. I will say this just for point of reference. Madam Clerk, there may be some questions. The RFP process applies when it is over a certain amount. When it's under, then we get estimates. Could you explain that
So,
process?
anything over $5,000, between 5,000 and under 75,000 requires more than one quote. I think we have to have a minimum of two. I always ask them to try to get three. In this case, he reached out to 4 different companies, 2 declined. We're not interested in providing an estimate for this project.
I have documentation of that as well.
Anything 75,000 or more is required to receive sealed bids, which are received by the clerk's office.
Yes, through an RFP
I'm
process. Alderman
fully,
Frazier?
I'm fully aware of that. This lowball, I'm calling the lowball contract, but here's the thing, what I'm saying to you, if I go get all this docket, I put from docket from last year, this year, and all, these same people are on the same docket. They'll get rich off the city of Natchez, the same company, the same 2 people. I'm simply saying, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
I will say this, I have to say this for the record. In our RFP process, all of this goes through central bidding. Anyone can bid on it. We can't control who bids and who doesn't. And yes, these companies have bid, thankfully, because in some cases, they have been the only ones through central bidding to bid on those projects.
For the last
And we are
5
so
years,
grateful that we have
5, 6
them
years.
because
Come on.
we had to rebid Morgantown Road how many times? Because we couldn't get anyone to bid on it.
That's understood. I go along with y'all on that one.
And so, but what I will suggest is if there are.
Moving
any
forward, I will
contractors-
make an effort to,
I would say this,
to get
and we
more
have said
estimates.
this before, and I say this to any contractor who talks to me. We want the more the better because we want the best quality and best price for our
best quality,
taxpayers'
and you
dollars.
get two
We're
that
working too
decline.
hard to get all this done and balance the budget. And so if there are any contractors who wish to provide estimates, bid, just make sure we have their information so that when we send this out, we can send it out to
Mr.
everyone.
Mayor, you said
We
that
would be
before.
happy to do that.
I would
Mr.
like
Mayor.
for his
And
documentation.
Alderwoman Irving is next.
Thank you, and thank you, Mary. We have provided, so when you check with Mr. Rudder, he
absolutely.
has all the contractors. Okay.
This is
He
my
has-
first time asking
he
for an
has
estimate.
all
I'm
of them. So we said,
I'm
and
sure
then
I
the other
will
thing that I
get
want
better
to
at
say,
this.
to show, and I'm just saying, if you want to be a part of, we had Mr. Nelson come here, approximately 3 months ago. I have not seen his name on the contract yet, and I still see other electrical companies, the other companies. They're receiving the same bids, and you're talking about a certified contractor
Extend the load.
That-
spreading the
Mr. Mayor.
dollars.
I think right now,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I would like
Alderwoman.
Mr. Porter, submit your documentation for the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Just submit
I
your
would like to say
documentation for
this,
the minutes.
there's an old expression, don't shoot the messenger. This gentleman has brought to us something that we thought we wouldn't be able to get done until next year. And it's
Exactly.
something that is so needed.
And I
at
could
North
use that
Natchez
money for
Park.
other things in my department, trust me.
That's right.
I'm
But
trying
what
to
we
move
are
forward.
doing is we are renovating a pavilion. And please, I have the floor. We are renovating a pavilion at North Natchez Park.
Exactly.
We have done so much work there already, the new playground, the renovated youth center. Now the pavilion will be renovated, and this is a time to celebrate. And I hope that when anyone reports on this meeting, they'll report the good news that this pavilion is getting renovated rather than the controversy that has been discussed today. Also, I want to make sure that we have a moment to be there to kick off the renovation project and invite the aldermen to come to celebrate because this is a big deal. That pavilion has been leaking and in deplorable condition for many years,
We're
and
getting
it's
it
about
done.
to be renovated.
Thank you,
I'll call for the question.
Mr. Mayor,
The question has been
Question's
called. We will now proceed.
I just want to make a
Yes,
comment.
Alderwoman Irving.
There's no controversy. Anything that I said has been out of love.
Okay.
So when it's out
All
of
right.
love, it's not meant in a
All
derogatory
right.
And,
manner.
and
We're
it's
just
a fair
putting the
point.
truth
Thank
out
you.
there.
It is,
It's a fair
but
point.
I want to make sure that everyone knows we are reaching.
I got a pretty deep conversation.
The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Porter.
And did you want me to submit documentation of?
You said you had documentation where you reached out to two people who declined. That's what I want you to put in the minutes.
Yes,
Thank you.
Alderwoman Smith.
May I just suggest we have a
Thank you.
list of vendors that we can give our department heads?
Yes, exactly what I said a minute ago.
It won't come back on you. When it wasn't-
And
Didn't do
I
anything
think
yet.
Alderwoman Irving indicated that Mr. Rudder
Yeah,
has
he
that.
has a lot of
We'll
those.
make sure that gets out there. We now will be listening to our city officials' reports. Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. This morning we had groundbreaking for the ADA compliant areas at North Commerce or Commerce Street, Franklin, and for Main Street. So we're glad that that project is taking place, and Alderman Maroney was there, and so were you, and some of the merchants in that area. We're very grateful that that's starting. We had a meeting yesterday on the updates on that project, as well as the update on the EOLA and the RAISE grant at the Grand. And that was very informative, and I'm glad we had the update on those three projects as well. Today, we had a meeting or gathering at the Grand also for Visit Mississippi's Tourism Summit. And that was very well attended by members of, you and I were there, members of the community, as well as Visit Natchez and Visit Mississippi. So that concludes my report.
All right, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
Yes. Again, I just want to thank the Recreation Director for getting that project done. We like to say, it really needed over there. I think they're gonna get more, once it get up and running, I think we're gonna get more people over there to use that pavilion. Now, that was one of my report, but, the Alderwoman brought it up. Now, here's another one. I was deeply disturbed about a video that surfaced last week dealing with the cities in Mississippi. And for this gentleman, whoever it was, to come and do a video without consulting or even seeking any legal law enforcement from the law enforcement, the mayor, or the county, anyway. He did a video, as from my understanding, this video that he did, he had millions and millions of followers. This video portrayed Natchez as being one of the most dangerous cities in Mississippi, which is totally untrue. I just like to simply say, we as a board and in the county, we don't tolerate that kind of nonsense. Every community in the country have problems. Small communities, large communities have problems, but our law enforcement in this county doing their diligence to keep these kind of types of crime down. These gentlemen that you seen on this video, they are now incarcerated in jail. What they fail to realize is they incriminated themselves with the stupidness that they posted on video about gangs and what they do and all this stuff. I understand the full nature of this, but for them to put our community on blast like that, and we are trying our level best to get tourists to come here. A video like that would destroy our city and make us don't know why they want to come here. But like I say, thanks to our law enforcement and the good citizens of Natchez, who I reached out to a lot of citizens, both black and white. They was like, that's not true. That's not true. Not at all. We have our crime problem, but that's not true. For them to consider us as one of the most dangerous communities in the state of Mississippi. So, like I say, we're gonna support our law enforcement to the utmost, and I just want the citizens of Natchez to say, I just want to tell them, as a former law enforcement officer, we are not gonna tolerate that in the city of Natchez in Adams County. I talked to Chair Patton. He was deeply disturbed, and from my understanding, he's supposed to be reaching out to this gentleman with an official letter, letting them know about the city of Nashville. So like I say, Mr. Mayor, that just was my basic concern about this video, because like I said, I had a lot of calls and stuff for them to do us like that. Like I say, we as a board, sometimes, like I say, we might argue and back and forth with each other, but I think as a whole, when it comes to our community and law enforcement and other stuff, we are on point. So I would just like to say, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me to speak about this.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier, and I couldn't agree more.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman
um,
Hall.
Alderman Frazier, did you contact the chief as well, to the sheriff?
No, I talked to the sheriff. The sheriff called me on my personal phone.
And then Alderman Frazier called me,
I
and then
called
I
him.
called the chief.
Okay.
And we've had very good discussions about that, and there are so many positive things happening, but anyone will make up anything just to get a little attention, and it's sad. Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It might be a good time to do a statistic update with you, between you
Yes.
and the sheriff, because I know crime is down. So, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's down. So that's a good thing, way from some years past. So very grateful for that. I wanted to thank the citizens that came out for the beautification campaign kickoff at the Grand this week on Monday. It was packed. It was full, and it always, is great to know how much people do care, and that's going to be a good thing to kick up some beautification efforts downtown. And there was also an update on the EOLA, and you're probably going to go into more detail on those things, but anyway, it went really well. And then I have to congratulate our mayor. I think he was just voted best of the best elected official. So congratulations on that.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Alderwoman Smith, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I have to say, I've got to congratulate United Mississippi Bank. I think y'all also were best of the Miss Lou in several categories.
Congratulations.
So many outstanding awards handed around Natchez and the Miss Lou. We're just so grateful. Thank you for your report, and thank you for your kind words. Alderwoman Irving.
Yes, Mayor. Well, I'm going to begin a little bit different. Mine is more concerned about some of the properties that are in my ward. And I'm going to begin with the former liquor package store that was on East Franklin. About reaching out to the property owners, their limbs sitting in the middle of the parking lot. And I think if they understood that they were to be bundled and brought to the front, the limb truck could actually pick them up.
Have you reported these to code enforcement?
I have.
Okay, just wanted to make
I
sure.
just want to put it out there because I'm getting calls and letting them know, hey, I'm reporting this, and maybe me sharing here tonight would speed the process up. Because now ADSI, and I just want people to know they are actually picking up those limbs that, like I said, if they were bundled, this would be better. And maybe that property owner don't know it as well, but they are cutting the grass. They're just taking the limbs and putting them in the center of their parking lot. The former radiator shop that's on St. Catherine Street, reaching out, and I have reported this as well, cutting weeds. It's right there, it's right in the heart of our tourism area there. It just needs to be kept in groomed there so that we can continue to have a beautiful scenery coming up St. Catherine Street. I also want to read this. This is one of my members of the ward, Mr. Darrell S. White. He was recognized by the City Council Citation of New York City. And it said, whereas a great city is only as great as those persons who give exemplary services to their communities, whether through unique personal achievements in their professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of philanthropy and community service. And whereas such service, which is truly the lifeblood of the community and the city, so often goes unrecognized and unrewarded. Now, therefore, be it resolved that a duly elected member of the New York City Council, I recognize that in Darrell S. White, we have an outstanding citizen, one whom is worthy of the esteem of both our community and the great city of New York. And I just want to congratulate him on that. He did receive this recognition on July 26, 2024. That's why he was not at the Montevideo Jubilee, because he's actually the Master of Ceremony, and so Master of Ceremony. And so he was presented this award, and I think that's great. It speaks volume of Mr. White. And he's also done the same thing here, being a resident of the city of Natchez. So I want to share that information. Also, Mr. Mayor, this community lost another pillar in our community, Ms. Carol Strong. She worked for National Furniture Company a number of years. She's a very dear friend to my family, to lots of members of my family. She worked at National Furniture Company for, I can say, over 30 years.
Wow.
But just the service that she's given, the relationships that she built over the years, and it's just, it touched me. It really touched me to read that she had passed. So I just want to recognize that, and I want to ask also, could we end our meeting tonight in prayer for the family? It's been approximately 2 weeks now, but I would like to recognize her. Thank you. She's been a part of our downtown business district for 30 plus years.
My goodness.
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that ends my report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Davis, you're
No,
recognized. Okay, thank you, Alderman. Alderman Maroney?
Just briefly, the fall cleanup that we're talking about, I really want to encourage anyone that's out there listening, watching, to get involved and do your part in our cleanup. Also, we have, I believe, National Night Out coming October 1st. I'm not quite sure what the plans are going to be.
When is it?
I want to encourage everyone to find out as those plans are formalized. I know there are a number of neighborhood watch groups around town. Get involved with your neighborhood watch group, talk to your neighbors, get involved with that National Night Out. Clean up your neighborhoods, get involved. Everybody needs to do their part.
I have a question.
And that fall cleanup is on September 16th,
Yes.
Monday, downtown.
Which it is a Monday, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
not quite sure how that'll work, but then there's gonna be another one on the 21st,
Mm-hmm.
that I
On the
think
MLK
Justice Smith is
Street.
gonna kind of spearhead that one. It'll Be
Yes.
out, MLK,
MLK.
I think he said.
From Jackson
from
Street to
Jackson
Minor Street.
Minor Street.
Mhm.
And, he gets some folks out there to help out there. It's just a few blocks, but it's
Yes.
there that we're gonna get
And National Night Out is October 1st.
October 1st, yeah.
All right.
So,
Again, the neighborhood watch groups will be doing
Yes.
something with that, and I'm sure that
All
the
right.
chief will have something to say about that. And
Okay.
talking about, like this one section that we're talking about on MLK and the stuff downtown, this stuff catches on. You clean up one area,
Yes.
and then the next block over says, well, dang, they got it all cleaned up down there. We need to do our part. We need to get on it too. And it spreads. It's just like other things. It can be viral and it can spread. And you take care of your neighbor, you get your yard, your part of your neighborhood all cleaned up, and the next part sees it, that kind of thing.
Yes.
You do that too.
Thank you.
Catches on.
Thank you. Alderwoman Irving?
so are you saying that National Night Out, October 1st, is gonna be back in the neighborhoods now?
Well, I'm not
coming to
quite
the-
sure. I just know
Is that how that's
is-
going to be?
That is National Night Out. Something will be happening. Not sure what yet, but get involved.
And the reason why I'm asking, because, so you're planning, so you are coming back to the neighborhoods like we've done in the past?
We are making plans. We're reaching out to the neighborhood watch captains to, just kind of gauge and see what they would watch.
So I have 7. You reached out to all of those in my ward?
We will have to check with Loretta. She's the one.
Okay.
actually sees it.
Okay, all right. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's all for me.
Thank you. We now will recognize our city clerk for her report.
Okay, first item I have is a request for approval of the 2nd August 2024 claims docket.
It's a pleasure.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Yeah, I just have.
Yes,
one thing.
Alderwoman Irving.
Let's see. It was on page 13, and I'm just asking, what is that? It's Fiscal Affair Jackson Police Department. And what is the fiscal? On page 31.
I'm looking. Chief, do you by any chance know off the top of your head what that invoice would have been for? Fiscal Affairs, Jackson Police Department.
That is probably.
Can you come to the mic, please?
Yes, Chief Green, if you'll come to the mic. But I do want to say it's hard for everyone to have, we have so many invoices that it's hard to answer all these questions just on
It's
the
just that
spot.
one, and it was just.
But
14.
yes, Chief Green.
If that's the one for the significant amount of money, okay, that is for the training for the last, I think, 6
Oh, yeah.
cadets that we sent through the academy.
Right, training at the academy.
Okay, just
Okay.
asking.
Yeah.
I just saw fiscal.
And
Affairs.
they
It's the first
had
time
been
I've ever seen
neglectful
that.
in billing us, and 2 of them were for cadets that graduated like November last year. But they
Because I've
just
never
sent
seen
us
that
the
on.
bill.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the docket?
Call the question.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item is request for approval of the second August 2024 mini claims docket.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call
Call
for
the
the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item is request for approval of travel for myself and Tiffany Howard to attend the Mississippi Municipal Clerks Fall Conference in Starkville, September 25th through the 27th.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion? We'll call for the
Call.
question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Request for approval for Tiffany Howard to attend clerk certification classes September 11th through the 13th in Ridgeland.
It's a pleasure.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith. You made that, and Alderwoman Hall seconded it. There's just so many talking at once. Discussion. We'll call for the question. We'll
Call.
proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Okay.
Next item.
Request for approval of travel for Consuela Madison to attend the Mississippi SHRM Conference in Biloxi, September 9th through 10th.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving. Who seconded that?
Alderman Davis.
Alderman Davis. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Called.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Request for a budget work session Wednesday, the 28th at 5 p.m.
Okay, what was the pleasure of the board?
Wednesday, the
Mr. Mayor.
28th. That says Thursday, the 29th.
Mr. Mayor.
It's been changed?
I'm sorry. Yes, there was
Mr. Mayor.
a revision sent out and also texted everyone and also discussed in budget meetings that we have had this week. Alderwoman Irving, I'm sorry, Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, sir. We have had the budget meetings this week. So I move that we have the public hearing for September 5th
Okay.
at 6 p.m.
All right, you have made a motion to have a public hearing
for our
on
proposed budget.
Thursday,
Yes, sir.
September 5th at 6 p.m.
Correct.
for our proposed budget. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes,
So
Alderwoman
am I
Irving.
confused? I know we got the hearing, so we're not gonna have the public work session? Is that what we just said, or has the date been changed? Because
Well, right
I
now,
made
the
the
motion,
motion.
I'm sorry, right now I have a motion on the floor for Thursday, September
I'm just
5th.
trying to get clarity, Mayor.
And I can't recognize another motion until this motion.
I'm not asking for a motion, I
Okay.
just asked a question.
Continue.
Okay, so my question is, are we not going to have the budget work section on tomorrow since it's been changed?
I can't answer to that right now. We're just discussing whether or not we're going to have a public hearing. That is the motion that we have right now. We
Call
can
for the
take that up next. The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Now, if there is a budget work session wanted for tomorrow at 5 PM, we can entertain that motion.
So moved.
I think you said.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I said in
motion-
my motion,
They killed that.
I said, we have already had our work sessions. I made the motion to approve the public hearing. So that's
May I say
all I did.
something?
Well,
Mr.
let me
Mayor?
just say that Alderwoman Irving has properly made a motion, and I do recognize it. And the motion is to have
No, no.
a work session tomorrow at 5 PM.
So, no,
Is
Mr.
I-
Mayor,
Yes.
can I just say something
Yes.
a little bit further?
Well,
This
wait,
is,
I need to have a second to your
Okay,
motion. Our
am I
rules
gonna have a
require-
second for the
And we'll
meeting
have a
tomorrow?
discussion, yes. Do I have a
Do
second?
I have a second? Do we have a second for the motion for the meeting tomorrow? And you mean to tell me you all sitting here and we don't, let me say this. I made a motion, this is August. I made a motion that we have work sessions in May and June. And you all said, let's wait. And we are going to have them. So it's not fair. And I want to say this, it is not fair for a committee to meet, have discussions.
We've had
and
no
not-
committee.
Where have we had the budget meetings at? You just said we
Individuals.
had budget meetings.
Individual aldermen, we've had 5 individual aldermen come to City Hall to have one-on-one meetings with our city clerk. The only one that did not come, you were a no-show today, and you did not call. We had you down for a
I talked to
meeting.
Mr. Richard Burks yesterday
And
and
he told us you would be there at 4:30, and we were there waiting for you and never heard from you.
he told
I don't
me.
understand.
So what you're not understanding is, and maybe I just need to say this, our school time has changed since we're going to a 4-day work week after Labor Day.
Okay.
And so our school time getting out, and I have
Okay.
a 25-minute
We can
drive
talk
back.
about that a little later.
No,
and we're happy to
But
have another
again,
meeting.
But again, we should have a work
But-
session. That's
but-
not fair
But
for
may I
us to
say,
have.
your motion is dying for lack of a second.
Well,
But we
I'm-
do
I'm-
have a public
I'm
meeting
glad it's
next
gonna
week.
die for a lack of a second,
We
but that
do have
shows
a
you about the
public,
character of people that we
I'm-
work with, that you
And
don't want
speaking-
to discuss
I'm sorry,
dollars.
But before we start talking, with all due respect, if you had a problem, why did you commit to a meeting at 4:30? We were there prepared, waiting for you. And why didn't you call and why didn't you respond? We
I
were
thought that
texting
was
last
Friday.
night. I'm sorry, but your motion has died for lack of a second.
That's fine.
We'll move on to the next item. But yes, Alderwoman Smith.
Now, I'd like to just say something very quickly. We don't need 10,000 discussions, but the reason I won't be there tomorrow is I approve of everything that has been done for the budget. And you can have a meeting tomorrow, you can go, but we've all done that. I think everybody.
But that wasn't what was discussed when I,
But if you
Sarah.
don't need it, you
But-
don't, can I ask?
Yes, you can go on.
Alderwoman
If
Smith, you have
you
the
don't
floor.
feel like you need to be there, you don't have to. And then you can still have a meeting though. You need to schedule it, Megan, at her convenience now since you waited today.
But
And if you're not good with it, then you can have another meeting. We're good with what we did in the meeting today. The budget looks great. It's balanced. It's ready for the public hearing.
But there were some changes,
And
because
those have been discussed today with Alderman. We've had discussions over the last several days. Actually, this is a fluid process, but at this time, I'm sorry, following our rules, that motion has died. We can't have further discussion, but what we can do is move on to the next item on the city clerk's report. Madam Clerk.
Okay, I would like to backtrack just a moment. The classes, certification classes for Miss Tiffany Howard, actually, I'd said September 11th through the 13th. It's the 4th through the 6th. So I wanted to make that correction and make sure that
Let the
Alderwoman
minutes
Smith.
reflect that correction be made. And those who made the motion, seconded the motion, and all of you who voted on the motion, are you comfortable having the minutes reflect the correct dates?
what are the
That-
dates
sir.
again?
September 4th through the 6th. I'm
All
sorry.
right. All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Okay, final item is request for a special call meeting to be held September 12th, 2024 at 5:30 PM for the adoption of the budget.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Madam Clerk,
That is the end of my report.
thank you.
you.
Mr. Attorney, do you have a report this evening?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. I do have a brief report on code enforcement. I want to just bring to your attention that we have been having meetings at City Hall with our code enforcement staff, and with the help of our city attorney, a new notice has been prepared that is going to be delivered along with tickets to those who are offenders in our community. We are now changing focus from trying to adjudicate properties to instead imposing the fines that are called for in our ordinance for properties that are in a neglected condition. And we are so grateful that we understand that our municipal court is very concerned as well about the condition of Natchez and the fact that we have many who are currently violating our ordinances. And so, effective already several days ago, we have provided a list of every property that has been reported to the city of Natchez since, I'm sorry, may I have order, please? I have the floor. Thank you. And so we have provided our code enforcement officers a list of over 300 properties that have been reported to our administration over the last year and a half. They have been assigned with the task of going to each property and evaluating its condition, of taking pictures, of documenting the file, and when necessary, writing tickets, because these are individuals who, now some were falsely reported, some have obviously cleaned up their act, so to speak, but a number of these, and we believe in excess of 150, are still in violation. And therefore, no warnings will be given. The warning time is over. Citations will be given. And our ordinance allows for multiple citations to be given and multiple fines to be imposed. In fact, fines per day can be imposed. All of that is subject to our municipal judge and the court. All we can do is write the tickets and have them then go through the court process. That is happening. And so we are sending a message to everyone, and it's in line with our cleanup campaign, Fall in Love with Natchez, that we need people to get serious about cleaning up their properties. I talk too often to individuals of a limited income, retired, who have lived in homes in our city for multiple years, some of them generations. And they don't want to move. They don't have the financial means to move. And it is absolutely improper and unfair that they be forced to live next door to dwellings owned by individuals who simply do not care. Now, we do recognize that we have individuals in our community who have financial hardship, and we are sensitive to that, and we are looking into ways to help them in any way we can. We are looking into more grant opportunities. But at the end of the day, individuals in Natchez have the right to live in a beautiful home, in a beautiful city. Also, it has been proven that throughout our state, our nation, those communities that overlook code enforcement and allow individuals to continually violate ordinances against these neglected properties end up crime-ridden, end up cities with boarded-up homes and neighborhoods where no one wants to live. We refuse for that to take place in Natchez. And so look for the tickets. The tickets are being written. And also look for the summons and notice to correct, saying you have received notice that your property constitutes an unsafe and unclean nuisance, which must be corrected immediately. Our officers have imposed fines, which must be paid. If these fines are not paid immediately, a lien will be placed against your property, and fines will be levied on your ad valorem taxes assessed to your property. Costs of cleanup will be added to your fines. These costs will include mowing, cleanup, debris removal, demolition, other expenses. This is your final warning. You will receive no further notice. And then it provides City of Natchez Code Enforcement Office and phone number. It is our goal to get citizens in this city interested in cleaning up their property rather than coming here for our public hearings on a process of adjudication. And we hope that everyone will help us in cooperating with this and making Natchez a more beautiful and safer place.
Question,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
it might sound frivolous, and it might not, but to the attorney, I'm looking at, you say, a summons, a notice of correction. Mr. Attorney, is this supposed to be official notice?
Yeah, I consider it an official notice.
Official notice. Okay, now this, like I said, this might sound frivolous. If this is an official notice, should it have the official city seal on it?
That's a good question, and I don't have an answer for it, but it wouldn't be a problem to put the city seal
But
on.
I'm saying, if you come to me with this, just a plain summons, I'm gonna say, I'm not at home. I'm gonna
We can easily put the
Yeah,
seal
who put
on.
this on here?
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna recognize this if it
Very
don't have an
good point.
official seal on it.
Very good point. Thank you, Alderman Frazier.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
We'll revise it.
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to give you that update because I know we've all had so many concerns about these issues. And going back just the last year and a half, over 350, it's unbelievable. I'm very grateful to say that we feel like a large part of that list has voluntarily complied, cleaned up. In some cases, we had mistakes. We recognize that. We had wrong owners. We had wrong property addresses. But just know we're going back through that list right now. And we feel it's important to get controls on that list, get a handle on that list before we have more reports flooding in. Because at some point, we've got to do more than just take down the complaints. We've got to make sure action is taken and tickets are written, fines are imposed, and the city knows that we mean business. Also, we will be coordinating with Adams County and the tax collector's office to make sure that all of this is properly handled at the county level. And we also will be making note of those fines that are imposed through our municipal court and not collected, because those fines can either be collected through the taxes paid on properties at the tax collector's office, or through liens against an individual's income tax returns and refunds at the state level. And that process is handled by the Mississippi Municipal League's Intercept Company. And we already have an agreement with the MML for that process. So we're getting serious. Let's make sure that we all work together so that this can be a success. The second thing, we had some miscellaneous updates. A very good event, yes. Our cleanup campaign, our Fall in Love with Natchez campaign received a great response. In fact, we had a representative from the mayor's office of Olive Branch who came all the way from Olive Branch with the assignment given to him by the mayor. I want you to be at that meeting to take note of what's happening in Natchez, because obviously we could learn from them. We also had an individual who works in economic development who was there very quietly because he is now involved on the finance side of our Iola project. And he has gone to communities all over. And he came up afterwards and said, I've been to a lot of these meetings, and it's been a long time since I've seen this kind of community buy-in. Obviously, what's going on in Natchez is exemplary of what could be going on in the other places. So I'm excited, and I give a shout out to all of those making this great energy happen, from our DNA to to Visit Natchez, to NAPAC, to our Natchez Inc., our Chamber of Commerce, to all of those churches and civic organizations, fraternities, sororities in our city. So much is happening, and we should be very grateful for the energy that exists here. Finally, and we do have, unfortunately, one employee matter to discuss in a very brief executive session. But before I get there, finally, I want to say a big shout out to our city clerk and her staff. They have worked tirelessly over the last few months with our department directors, getting all of the requests in for budget, crunching the numbers, and then finally producing to us a fantastic product. Now, it's not perfect. In meetings today, we've already lined through a lot of things, written some question marks, some things that need to be sorted out, and we will have a time to study this in full detail and then have a really good full discussion of this next week at the public
It is
hearing
balanced.
and the public meeting. But this is the bottom line. For the 5th year in a row, this administration, this Board of Aldermen is producing a balanced budget, a budget that also accomplishes great things for Natchez, including some historic raises for our public works department. I want to get that out there first.
Good. What was
and
that dollar
foremost.
amount per?
$150,000 is the amount, and
What was
that
for fire and police?
I'm
No,
sorry,
sure.
but those were discussed in great detail in meetings. And if you had not been a no-show for a meeting you had committed to,
Is that out of love,
that
Mayor?
could-
Is that out of
no.
love? Look at your attitude.
I am-
Look at your attitude.
I'm sorry.
Look at your attitude.
I am just saying.
Look at your attitude.
I'm just saying.
And you're the leader.
Yes, I am. And I'm just saying, when you commit to a meeting and you don't show up in a meeting, don't make it a controversial issue
You
in
did.
the
I
public
did.
meeting here.
Balanced budget. That's our
You,
clerk.
you actually brought up the things, and I have to answer it because we have worked too hard. I have been in hours upon hours of meetings where we have certain ones who have not been to a single meeting. But this is the bottom line: historic raises for our public works department. Morgantown Road, our Canal Street Bridge, the restoration phase 1 of the Angeletti House. I am so excited to say also in this budget, we have more improvements to equipment, to our departments, and also important infrastructure improvements, including $1 million in road and street improvements for Natchez next year on top of what we've already done. We also are making sure that key positions are cared for and key individuals are respected in our city of Natchez who do so much. But at the end of the day, may I say this: 5 years without a tax increase, 5 years balancing a budget. We've worked too hard to hear any criticisms tonight, because during this administration, we have, without raising your taxes, we have begun or completed renovations to the majority of our city-owned properties, buildings, every one of our parks, our North Natchez Youth Center, underway renovation of our Duncan Park Golf Clubhouse, repaving over 50 streets, replenishing a fleet of vehicles in our police department, almost 20, new vehicles for our fire department, including a new pumper truck. We have renovated City Hall. We are in the middle now of a long-awaited plan to renovate and repave Morgantown Road. And we have done all of this within our budget, balancing the budget without raising taxes. Now, if anyone can argue against that, 2 raises over the last 4 years for our police, for our fire, making them the highest paid firefighters and police officers in our region of the state and the Miss Lou. We have given 3 raises to our public works, and included here is a historic $150,000 raise package, and is being funded through savings that we accomplished through our negotiation of garbage rates at the earlier part of this year. in dealing with our landfill. I'm saying all of this so that everyone will know that we are blessed. When I go around other parts of the state and I hear cities that can't even make payroll, that are like this city used to do just 5 years ago, having to make loans in order to meet payroll at the end of the year, waiting on tax collections to come in the next year. When I talk to individuals who can't even pay for new uniforms for their police, whose police are riding in cars like ours used to be, an average of 250,000 miles or better on the odometer, I should say, or worse. Let me just say, we've worked very hard. We have a lot to celebrate. And Madam Clerk, you again have produced for us a balanced budget. And I think it's testimony to your work and the trust we have in you
And her staff.
that the meetings have gone so well. And in your staff, the meetings have gone so well that the majority of this board, all but one, didn't see a need for us to have another session tomorrow because so many answers have already been given. And I can't wait for the discussion we will have next week at our public hearing. I'm about to ask for a motion to go into a closed determination
Second.
for an executive session. The motion has been made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We are now in a closed determination hearing, but we are going to have it in the open. We have an employee matter involving a very serious confidential matter that the attorney says warrants our discussion about potential disciplinary actions or other actions, including perhaps actions that are legal in nature and cannot be discussed in open because of the privacy needed for this employee. Does that constitute the need for an executive session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this matter involves an employee, a personnel matter with potential disciplinary action, and as such, it does qualify for the Closed Meeting Act.
All right, thank you. We will now ask for a motion to adjourn our closed determination, return to regular session.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call for the question.
Hall.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
I
I
need
make
a
a motion
motion.
we move into executive session.
For the purposes so described.
Second.
Alderwoman Smith has made the motion that we go into executive session for the purposes so described. Alderwoman Hall has seconded that motion. Discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We will now go into executive session. Thank you so much. This ends our recorded version of the meeting. We will, though, have an announcement when we come back from executive session. Thank you so much.